I'm telling you, someone's been creeping around the corridor at night. What am I saying, creeping? He was stomping about like a bear.
This looks like the dregs after a night's drinking. Who could be coming here?
I'm Gregor, and I'm new here.
I know. I saw you in the church during the ceremony. I have a feeling we'll be meeting again soon, and often. You see, I'm a sacator.
What does that mean?
I make sure everyone observes the rule, does their work, and that everything is the way it should be.
When it's not the way it should be?
Then we're authorized to mete out punishment. But certainly you won't require correction, will you, brother?
About you in the election, will you tell me more about it?
Ask me anything you want.
Tell me something about Nevlas.
Nevlas is weak and toothless. He's full of hot hair. How anyone could think he'd make a good abbot is beyond me. Enough. I don't even want to hear his name again.
I'd like to know what's going on here.
Well, the young brothers feel they don't have the same rights and responsibilities as we, who have spent much of our lives here. And what of it? Privilege needs to be earned. Nevlas is lying when he says he wants to right wrongs. All he cares about are benefits for himself and his cronies.
I'd like to help you if I can.
There is something you could do. I'm convinced Nevlas must have done something that would greatly damage him if everyone found out. If he was preaching water and drinking wine, for example.
So I should dig something up on him and tell you about it?
Exactly. But I doubt you'll have any luck. Nevlas is too cunning and careful to give anything away.
Once I find something out, I'll tell you. Thank you for answering. What did you want me to do?
Dig up some dirt on Nevlas and tell me about it. If he's discredited in front of the others, he has no chance of even standing as a candidate.
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery.
What troubles you?
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. I'm Gregor, a novice.
I know. I saw you at the ceremony. My name is Nevlas, and I'm the provost here. I'm in charge of the monastery's property, as well as handling trade with the outside world.
That means you get to leave the monastery?
No, not at all. I just write lists and send them out.
Tell me about yourself.
I'm the provost of this monastery. It's my job to ensure the monks live a humble life and that any surpluses go to the poor. But in reality, I spend all my time making sure my brother's gluttony and the construction of a new church don't swallow up the few resources we have left.
I'm interested in the election of the new abbot.
You're not alone. Everyone's so worked up about that they spent no time considering how they could make the monastery a better place now.
Why? What's wrong with it now?
Many brothers think more about their stomachs than prayer. The older brethren bend the rules of the order to make them fit their interests. So, to balance the scales, they want the novices to lead exemplary lives. Sin abounds here, just as in the outside world.
What sins are you talking about?
The scripture says, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." I'm sorry, Gregor, it's not my place to speak about the sins of others.
Tell me something about how the new abbot will be elected.
A new abbot has to be elected once the old one dies. All the brethren can vote, with the exception of novices. The abbot's crozier will be conferred on whoever is chosen, and he'll take the vow. When he becomes abbot, a monk spends most of his time dealing with politics outside the monastery, instead of actually leading the monastery. But he still maintains a fundamental influence on life here.
Can you tell me about Abbot Peter?
Peter's wise in the ways of politics and a good shepherd, but as you've already heard, he's old and infirm. The other brothers see him with one foot in the grave, but I still have hope for him. But you, brother, don't let yourself get involved in the games of your superiors. Could you help me with something?
With what?
I'm interested in medicine, and I know there's a cure for the abbot's ailment. With your help, I could find out the details, and together you and I could give old Peter a few more years to do good. What do you say?
What do you need me for?
In order to get the recipe for this medicament, a few rules will need to be broken. Now you know most of the brothers believe every illness is a message from God, and that it's not our place to deny his will. I, however, think if God sent us not just illnesses, but also the medicine to cure them, then it's our duty to relieve people of their suffering. The cure for Abbot Peter's illness could be contained in one of the books in our library, but it will certainly be amongst the libri prohibiti, the forbidden books, those we aren't permitted to read.
Why are they forbidden?
Because they contain occult and demonic practices, witchcraft and all manner of evil, or so some people claim. It's nonsense, of course. This is nothing but a book of medicine, albeit one written by a pagan. Ibn Sina, also known as Avicenna, is universally acknowledged to be a wise man. But here, at some point, someone decided his book is the work of a Saracen devil and must be kept under lock and key. Since then, no one can even talk about the book. But the three wise men were from the East, were they not?
Where can I find it?
In the library, there's a large cabinet with a lock on it. The forbidden books are inside. You'll easily recognize what you're looking for. The cover has not only a Latin inscription, but also Saracen letters. Bring it to me, but leave the other books there. No one will notice if one book disappears, but if more were to vanish, someone would certainly begin to look into it, which is exactly what we don't want.
Is there anything you can tell me that would help?
There's a key to the cabinet in the prior's chambers. The librarian should have another one, or you can acquire some lockpicks. But I can't tell you where or how. Perhaps Brother Celerius could help.
Why can't you do it yourself?
Because I'm one of the highest-ranking monks here, and one day I'd like to become abbot. Can you imagine me crawling around in the black of night searching for a forbidden book?
You could just ask for it.
Do you honestly think I haven't tried? Unfortunately, Librarian Cyril is a stubborn ass.
I'm ready.
One more important thing. There's always someone in the library during the day. To pass unwatched, you'll need to go at night. It's locked, but I'm sure you'll manage to get in. They say Brother Celerius understands locks, but don't tell him why you need it. Once you have the book, bring it to me, and I'll then use it to make Peter's medicine. We'll soon have the election of the abbot over and done with.
I'm interested in the election of the new abbot.
You're not alone. Everyone's so worked up about that they spent no time considering how they could make the monastery a better place now.
Why, what's wrong with it now?
Many brothers think more about their stomachs than prayer. The older brethren bend the rules of the order to make them fit their interests. So, to balance the scales, they want the novices to lead exemplary lives. Sin abounds here, just as in the outside world.
I'd be interested to know more about Brother John.
I don't like to speak ill of people, but Circuitor John is the worst person the monks could pick to represent them. He's nothing but an old schemer and pedant who preaches water but drinks wine. He's won the older brethren over because they know he won't call an end to their debauchery.
Why do you want to become abbot?
Because when I see the way things are headed around here, I have no other option. Itinerant preachers speak of the corrupted black heart of the church, and I can't deny there's truth in what they say. I'd like to change things and bring back meaning and esteem to the monastery.
That's all. Thank you.
Peace be with you, brother.
This looks like the Saracen language. Ibn al-Hassan. That's who I'm looking for. Avicenna.
Ah, Gregor, talk to me.
Is it possible to learn something about the other novices in the library?
Only the abbot and the prior keep such records.
And can I see them?
No. The abbot writes and keeps his records in his chambers, and only he and the prior are permitted to read them.
Is there anything I can do to help here?
I'm glad you asked. There's one thing, a silly thing really. I haven't thought to mention it to anyone before, but not long ago, a brother brought me a crumpled piece of parchment. He says he found it rolled up in a hole in the wall. The thing is, it was a page from Ovid.
Ovid? What is that? Is it the name of a book?
Not what, but who. Ovid was a great Roman poet. We have a few volumes by him in the library, but one of them vanished one day. Now I believe I can guess what happened. Brother Eustace, may the earth rest lightly on him, was quite narrow-minded when it came to classical literature. If a book had any mention of woman at all, he condemned it as a heretical work. If he'd had his way, all such books would have been burned. Ovid's The Art of Love must have been such a thorn in his side that he stole it from the library, tore it up, and hid the pages wherever he could.
Oh, would you like me to put the book back together again?
Absolutely. Eustace's wits weren't the sharpest, so I'm sure he didn't destroy any of the pages. I imagine he hid them throughout the monastery. It might take you a while to find them all, but when you do, you can rest assured Ovid will return to his rightful place in the library.
Good. I'll look around for it.
Thank you, brother. It's of no great importance, but if you can find all 10 pages, I'll be most grateful.
Can you tell me something about the book?
The Art of Love is a sort of manual instructing young people how to find and maintain love. It's a lovely work. I don't understand what bothered Eustace so much about it, but as I was saying, he considered the book to be immoral and tore it up to stop it corrupting any of his brothers.
Where should I look?
If I knew, I wouldn't have asked you to do it. The pages of the book could be hidden anywhere, from the garden to the refectory.
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery.
titleless. They're shirking their responsibilities, leaving us as the chase around after them, finishing what they...
Did you have to finish someone's weeding in the garden again?
Yet again. I've had enough of it.
Have you spoken to Yodok?
I have. He said the new cask is ready, but he was as nervous as a nun in a bathhouse, like he doesn't want to...
Oh, he'll do it. Just as soon as we've drunk this one dry, he'll do anything for a little pat on the back from us.
I've read one of the manuscripts copied by one of the novices. I think I'm going to cry.
Talk to me, brother.
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. Who would you like to be the new abbot?
John, definitely. Compared to him, Nevelis is young and inexperienced. John has the wisdom of age, and he already has the respect that Nevelis will have to earn. You've seen us drinking here, so either join in or swear you won't tell a soul. You won't want to end up like Lucas now, would you?
All right. I wouldn't mind some wine.
That's more like it. Sit down and have a drink, my lad. Quite right, brother. Just sit down and drink with us. When the wine runs out, Yodok will fetch more. Talk to me, brother.
What are you doing here?
What does it look like? Drinking.
But we're all monks.
Youngster, when you're as old as I, you'll understand.
But you're the cicators. You're the ones meant to be keeping order here. How can gambling and drinking be a fitting part of a monk's life?
If you really want to know, see for yourself.
All right. Have it your way.
Ah, Gregor, talk to me.
You mentioned Yodok. What does he do for you?
Well, nothing much. He's just a little suckling like you. He'll do whatever it takes to stay on our good side. Sometimes we make use of him when there are errands to run.
Where'd you get the wine from? I thought the monastery cellars were guarded.
So they are. But this wine isn't from the monastery. Listen, lad, would you help us out with something? This cask is almost empty, and we need a new one. We're a bit old for such exertions, but you, on the other hand...
I'll help you. What do I need to do?
Ha! I knew it! Help Novice Yodok arrange for a new cask. Talk to him first thing in the morning, and by tomorrow night, the cask can be on the table.
All right, I'll talk to him.
About you in the election, will you tell me more about it?
Ask me anything you want.
I'd like to help you if I can.
There is something you could do. I am convinced Nevlus must have done something that would greatly damage him if everyone found out. If he was preaching water and drinking wine, for example.
So I should dig something up on him and tell you about it?
Exactly. But I doubt you'll have any luck. Nevlus is too cunning and careful to give anything away.
I'm sorry, but that doesn't seem right to me.
He who aids a sinner sins himself. I shall pray for your soul, brother.
Thank you for answering. I'd like to ask you something about the monastery.
Let's play!
Just the man we've been waiting for, my friend. So, let's play.
Salve. Be well. Ah! Down the hatch.
Every golden street.
Salve, Domine.
This is not a good time for questions, brother.
This is not a good time for questions, brother.
In the night, I overheard the cicators in the cellar. They were talking about you.
Oh, no. So it's still not over. This isn't a life in service of God. This is purgatory.
Lucas, what's going on?
What do you think? Just like you, I saw the cicatas drinking and playing hazard as if they were in a brothel.
We'd be safer not to get mixed up in the affairs of our superior brethren.
You're probably right, but I was naive and hoped I could fix things.
I warned them if they didn't stop, I'd go and tell the prior. But instead of mending their ways, they vented their anger on me.
You've picked the wrong people to make enemies of, Lucas, they told me. Now I can't even count how many days and nights I've spent locked up in solitary confinement for the tiniest offences, or for no offence at all.
Is there something I can do to help?
Would you? I think all it might take is for you to go and sit down with them, have a talk, set things straight, then they'd leave me alone. But I'm afraid even this path leads nowhere. They'd probably start hounding you as well.
I'm not afraid of them.
Brother, you have the courage I lack. May the grace of God be upon you.
I'd like to know something about the other novices.
I don't know much, but ask away.
Do you know anything about Yodok?
I don't. He doesn't like me, and he's on very friendly terms with the Circators. That's about it.
Are you joking? Don't you know anyone at all here?
Why should I?
I'd have thought you might want to know who you'll be spending the rest of your life with. I definitely do. In fact, I probably already know more about them than you do.
Don't get upset. I'm sorry I can't tell you more. I just haven't felt like getting to know anyone yet.
Should be assigned a task or craft of such a nature as to keep them from idleness and at the same time not to overburden them or drive them away. Their weakness must be taken into consideration by the abbot. The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on the abbot. Therefore, when anyone receives the name of abbot, he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold teaching. That is to say, he should show them all that is good and holy, by his deeds even more than by his words, expounding the Lord's commandments in words to the intelligent among his disciples, but demonstrating the divine precepts by his actions for those of harder hearts and ruder minds. The abbot should always remember what he is and what he is called, and should know that to whom more is committed, From him, more is required. Let him make no distinction of persons in the monastery. Let him not love one more than another, unless it be one whom he finds better in good works or in obedience. And let him not shut his eyes to the faults of offenders, but, since he has the authority, let him cut out those faults by the roots as soon as they begin to appear. Remembering the fate of Heli, the priest of Siler, the well-disposed and those of good understanding, let him correct with verbal admonition the first and second time. But bold, hard, proud, and disobedient characters he should curb at the very beginning of their ill-doing by stripes and other bodily punishments.
What troubles you?
Knowing that it is written, the fool is not corrected with words. And again,
I was talking
teach your
last night
son
with the brother
rod, and
Cicators.
you will deliver his soul
It
from
seems
death.
you're to fetch them a cask of wine,
The rule of Saint
like
Benedict,
last time.
reading
Hey,
in the spirit
well,
of silence. Let us do what the
yes.
prophet says.
It's true.
I said, I will guard my ways, that I may not sin with my tongue.
I'd like
I
to
am
help
set a
you.
guard to my mouth. I was mute
Would
and
would
was
you
humble,
really do it?
kept silence even
To
from
get
women.
hold of the wine,
Here the
we'll
prophet
have to leave the
shows that
monastery
the
for a
spirit of
bit.
silence
I know it's
leads
forbidden,
at times to
but we've
refrain
no other
from
option.
good speech.
If wine started going
So
missing
much the
here,
more
someone would
punishment
notice.
for sin.
But to leave the monastery, we need the
Word.
keys.
Therefore,
And only the prior
since the
has
spirit
those.
of silence
Wait
is
a
so
moment.
important,
Are you saying I'm
the
supposed to
mission
steal the
speech
prior's
can rarely
keys
be
so I can go and
granted
steal
in
wine
silence,
somewhere else?
even though it be
You
for
see
good,
why I don't want to
holy,
do it myself
edible
now, do you?
conversation. For it is
I don't have what
written,
it takes.
in much
I can't get
speaking
those
you will not
keys, but
escape
you
sin,
could.
and in
Or
another
you might be able to pick the locks.
death and
But you've done it
life
once
are
before,
in
haven't
the
you?
power of the tongue.
Last time the prior was sick,
Speaking and
and he left the
teaching
monastery
belongs to the
keys in the
master,
Circator's
the
care.
disciples part
So they
of
unlocked the
silence
gates for
to
me.
listen. And for that
This
reason,
time
when
we'll
it
have to
has be
steal the
asked of
keys.
superior, it should be asked with all the humility and submission
How can I get hold of the keys, do you think?
But as for coarse
I don't
jests
know,
and idle words
but it might be
and
possible
words
to
that
do
move
this
the
without
laughter,
them.
these we
Brother
condemn
Celerius,
everywhere with a
the
perpetual
cellar keeper,
ban.
used to be a burglar.
For such
He knows his way
conversation,
around
we do not
locks,
permit
and maybe could help
disciples
us,
to
if you
open
could
his
find a
mouth.
way to arrange it.
Do you think he'll want to take part in theft?
No, but you could give some advice, or maybe get some lockpicks to open the gate. You'll figure something out.
If you think so, I can try.
Once you have the key or some lockpicks, come and see me and we'll make our plan.
About those keys.
Did you get them? Keys? Or at least lockpicks?
Not yet.
Well, hurry up then. You don't want to keep the brothers waiting. Visit the cellar keeper. He can help you.
I'm interested in the other novices. What can you tell me about Siskin?
Oh, he's always got a smile on the new friend. But I reckon he don't belong in the monastery. He spends more time dreaming of the world outside than tending to his duties. I'm surprised he hasn't been thrown out already. If it was up to me, he'd be out on his ear right away.
Sounds like you don't have much time for him.
No, I don't. He isn't a proper monk and he doesn't belong here.
The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on the abbot. Therefore, when anyone receives the name of abbot, he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold teaching. That is to say, he should show them all that is good and holy, by his deeds even more than...
Praise be to Christ, brother.
I'm looking for something a little, unorthodox.
And what would that be exactly?
I'm looking for lockpicks.
Lockpicks? And what would you like those for?
I'd like to practice opening locks, just for the fun of it.
Well, why not? So you heard I used to be a burglar, did you? I put it all behind me as soon as I took the vows. But I do have a few lockpicks left. I'll trade them for food. Get me a bite to eat, and you can have your lockpicks. Can't say fairer than that, can I?
Let's have a word about the price.
All right, so?
Agree?
More.
Servus.
My last offer.
Well, now, a little more and we'll shake on it. All right, so.
Therefore, since the spirit of silence is so important, permission to speak should rarely be granted even to perfect disciples, even though it be for good, holy, edifying conversation. For it is written, in much speaking you will not escape sin. And in another place, death and life are in the power of the tongue.
What troubles you?
For speaking and teaching belong to the master.
I'm interested in the other novices.
Be silent to listen. And for that reason, if
What can you tell me about Siskin?
it should be asked
Oh,
all the
he's always got a smile on the new friend.
inspired by
But I reckon he don't belong in the monastery. He spends more time dreaming of the world outside than tending to his duties. I'm surprised he hasn't been thrown out already. If it was up to me, he'd be out on his ear right away.
Disciple to open his mouth. The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on the abbot.
About those
Therefore,
keys.
when anyone receives the name of
Did you get
abbot,
them? Keys?
ought to govern his
Oh, at least
disciples with a
lockpicks.
twofold teaching.
Yes,
That
I
is
have
to
them.
say, he should show them all
In that
is
case,
good and
come
holy
before midnight
by
to the
his
Cloister
deeds even
garden.
more than
I'll
by
be
his
waiting
word.
for you there, and we'll
Expounding
head
the
off.
Lord's commandments in words to the intelligent among his disciples, but demonstrating the divine precepts by his actions for those upon. Good understanding, let him correct with verbal admonition the first and second time. But bold, hard, proud, and disobedient characters he should curb at the very beginning of their ill-doing by stripes and other bodily punishments, knowing that it is written, the fool is not corrected with words. And again, beat your son.
What do you desire, Brother Gregor?
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. Who would you like to be the new abbot?
John, definitely. Compared to him, Nevlis is young and inexperienced. John has the wisdom of age, and he already has the respect that Nevlis will have to earn.
Are there ever any disagreements between the brothers?
Unfortunately, yes. The biggest quarrels right now are about the election of the new abbot. They can already see poor Peter in his grave.
I understand.
What troubles you?
I'm interested in the election of the new abbot.
You're not alone. Everyone's so worked up about that they spent no time considering how they could make the monastery a better place now.
Why? What's wrong with it now?
Many brothers think more about their stomachs than prayer. The older brethren bend the rules of the order to make them fit their interests. So, to balance the scales, they want the novices to lead exemplary lives. Sin abounds here, just as in the outside world.
That's all. Thank you.
Peace be with you, brother. What would you like?
Is there any way I could help you get elected? Somehow tip the scales in your favour?
What would you like to do? Climb up the tower and shout, "Vote for Nevillus, vote for Nevillus"?
Not exactly. You do have an opponent, John.
John isn't my opponent, he's my brother. Just like you and everyone else here. We're all brothers in Christ. But there is something you could help me with. You must know there's a great deal of iniquity here in the monastery. I'd be interested to hear of anything I don't know about.
Should I find out for you what's going on around here?
Let me make this clear. I want to base my candidacy on putting things in order. But if I don't know exactly what's wrong, then my promises are just empty slogans.
Very good then. I'll find out what I can.
Thank you, brother.
I'm here to work.
Excellent. I've been waiting for you. There's the alchemist's laboratory. You'll find ingredients in the chests next to it. Today's task, 2 cockerel potions. Once you finish them, you'll find me somewhere nearby. Don't forget to let me know when you're done so I can check them. What is it, brother?
I've finished my work.
Show me what you've made. Spectacular, Gregor. You've found your talent. Soon enough, you'll be teaching the other novices.
Brother, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be working somewhere? Idle hands are the devil's workshop.
I definitely was there. I did come a little late, so perhaps no one noticed me.
Really? I'll pretend nothing happened. But this is the last time, brother.
Brother Sir Cater, my friend.
What would you like? To be relieved from duties?
No, I'm here because of Novice Lucas. I've heard there's some discord with him.
Only because that weasel wants to put an end to our nighttime fun. So we're letting him know who's in charge here.
I'd appreciate it if you treat him like a brother again.
If he isn't afraid of us, there's nothing to stop him ratting us out. But what do you care, anyway? Grown fond of him, have you?
He hates you because you trample all over him and he has nothing to lose. If you show him just a bit of kindness, he'll think again about taking you on. You'll see.
Fine. You've convinced me. You can tell him things have been straightened out. But he'd better be on his best behavior from now on. Beware of Lucas. He might corrupt you.
What do you mean?
He's a sodomite, a sinner. He might try to get you into the habit, or out of it.
I didn't know that. Thanks for the warning.
Talk to me, brother.
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. Who's in charge of things around here?
Abbot Peter is the administrator of the monastery, but you won't see him. He's always traveling, and on top of that, he's old and infirm. Perhaps the good Lord will bless him with many more years of life.
And what happens when the old abbot dies?
Then we elect a new one.
I'm here to work.
Good. This is most likely the first time you've ever done this in your life. But it's easier than you think. Just a bit of practice and learning Latin. Here's the original, and here are the blank parchments on which you'll copy what you read in the original. Is that clear? Then you may begin, and try not to make a mess of it.
Not a single error. Quite a feat for a beginner.
Talk to me, brother.
Don't even look at that cabinet. It contains forbidden books.
To men only if what is commanded is done
Salve.
without hesitation.
Be well.
Delay, lukewarmness, grumbling, or objection. For the obedience given to superiors is given to God. For if the disciple obeys, not necessarily with his lips, but simply in his heart, then even though he fulfills the command, yet his word.
Will you tell me something about yourself?
I There's nothing I can tell you.
I mean, where you're from, what sort of life you had before, that sort of thing.
I'm a novice, and my monastic name is Lucas. Nothing else matters.
Come on. Is there really nothing at all you can tell me?
I could, but I don't want to. I'm sorry. I want to stay focused on work and prayer, not on who I once was. I never will be again. What has been isn't important for us. We cast the past aside when we walked through the monastery gates and took our oath. Never forget that.
I spoke to the cicadas about how they've been treating you.
Really? Did you manage to convince them to leave me alone?
But you have to promise not to tell anyone what you saw them doing. Then they'll leave you alone.
That's a promise I'd be glad to make. I'm forever in your debt, brother. Because now I know I can trust you, there's something I want to tell you. It's about Brother Antonius. I wouldn't like to say something that isn't true. God forbid I should cause harm by my words, but this is something I'm sure of. Novice Antonius is lying to us.
What makes you say that?
He claims he's a merchant's son from Vlachim, and that he joined the order voluntarily. The thing is, I spent a great deal of time in Vlachim. I know it like the back of my hand, and no one even remotely like Antonius has ever lived there.
Are you sure? Because this could mean that...
It's true, or Canute isn't my name. That would be my secular name, by the way, but that's not important. I know Vlachim, and I know the local merchants there, and I've never seen Antonius among them. Why would he be lying if he had nothing to hide?
Thank you for telling me. I'll look into it.
The Rule of Saint Benedict. Reading.
What troubles you?
I have set a guard to my mouth. I was mute and was humbled and kept silence even from good things. Here the prophet shows that if the...
Will you tell me something about yourself? Look, nothing against you, but I prefer not to talk about my past. Are you hiding something? Why are you so reluctant to tell me anything about yourself? I'm hiding a lousy past that I'd rather forget. I hate to think of all I lost when they stuck me in here. And also because I really hate the question, aren't you the son of the famed Sir Smil Flashka Pardubitz? I was rich and I had everything. But then my father began to feel his time approaching, so he decided to send a son to the monastery. And, being the youngest, a lot fell on me. I've no head for managing the estate, and they said I'd squander it. Can you imagine? Me, in a monastery. So I took what coin I could from home with me, so I didn't lose out completely.
What about the dagger?
That's a memento of better times. Father gave me that when I was a little lad. And it's done right by me more than once, when I got drunk somewhere with the wrong sort of people.
Do you know how to fight?
And how? Boozing and brawling. God, how I miss that here.
Tell me more about the book.
I found it here in the library. It was on a shelf where it should never have been. So I hid it to read later. It's the Necronomicon. Ghosts, demons, and invocations of powers beyond our world. Only it's written in a strange language that I can't really make sense of. All bara this and bara that. Who knows what it means? I tried to count the syllables, read the words backwards, but nothing. I'm not getting anywhere with it.
Oh, I'm not too sure what the prior or the cicada would say about a book like that. Actually, what anyone would say. It sounds quite prohibited.
Prejudice. But you're right, it is prohibited. For no good reason, though. Has knowledge ever done anybody any harm?
But bold, hard, proud, and disobedient.
You're right. Knowledge should never be prohibited.
I'm glad you agree. Just take a look at the book. Maybe you'll be able to make some sense of it. I haven't grasped a single syllable. Just please don't tell anyone about the book. If the brothers learn that I took it from the library and hid it, I'll be in a lot of trouble. Our brothers' minds are closed to a thirst for knowledge.
What kind of a book is it?
I found it here in the library. It was on a shelf where it should never have been. So I hid it to read later. It's the Necronomicon. Ghosts, demons, and invocations of powers beyond our world. Only it's written in a strange language that I can't really make sense of. All bara this and bara that. Who knows what it means? I tried to count the syllables, read the words backwards, but nothing. I'm not getting anywhere with it.
Oh, I'm not too sure what the prior or the cicada would say about a book like that. Actually, what anyone would say. It sounds quite prohibited.
Prejudice. But you're right, it is prohibited. For no good reason, though. Has knowledge ever done anybody any harm?
If it wasn't harmful, it wouldn't be forbidden.
That's a rather limited view of the world. Some write about the saints, others about demons. And an educated person should know both. Pity I can't understand a word it says. And I've been trying for quite a while. Just please don't tell anyone about the book. If the brothers learn that I took it from the library and hid it, I'll be in a lot of trouble. Our brothers' minds are closed to a thirst for knowledge.
Actually, I don't care. God save.
I'd be interested to hear what you think about the other novices. I'm interested in Yodok.
What could interest you about him? He's a no-good rat. He'll turn you in for the price of a turnip. I'd bet my life that if he wasn't here, he'd be a Cuman scout, bowing and scraping for a few groschen.
That doesn't sound too flattering.
It wasn't meant to. No matter what you do here, watch out for him. He's got his eye on everyone, and he'll rat on you for even the slightest of infractions.
What can you tell me about Lucas?
It's a tricky situation with Lucas. No one really knows anything about him. I've tried so many times to talk to him, but he always backs away like a virgin on a wedding night.
That's all. Thanks.
In the middle of the night, I saw the brother Circatas drinking and playing dice.
How marvellous! Did you join in? More importantly, can I join in next time?
Siskin? I thought it wasn't allowed.
If the Circatas can, we all can.
That's not how it works, though, is it?
I know. A double standard. The elder brothers can do as they please, but they're the ones preaching about morality to us.
About that magic potion from the forbidden books. Would you share the recipe with me?
You don't even have to ask. It's thanks to you I have it. Listen. Old wives' ointment, which witches use upon the Sabbath, and therein damn their souls to the devil. Prepare oil, a fistful of marigold, a fistful of belladonna, and a fistful of lover's knot. Boil the lover's knot for one turn. Drop the ground marigold in the cauldron and boil for another turn. Drop the ground belladonna into the cauldron and boil for another turn.
Sounds quite poisonous.
And it probably is, but I'm interested to find out what it does.
About that magic potion from the forbidden books. What do you plan on doing with it?
I don't really know yet. Perhaps one day I'll concoct it and try it out.
Let's change the subject.
But this very obedience will be
Praise be
acceptable
to our
God
Lord
and
Jesus.
pleasing to men only if what is commanded is done without hesitation. Delay with warmness, grumbling or objection. For the obedience given to superiors is given to God. For if the disciple obeyed, prescribed as follows. From Easter until the calends of October. When they come out from prime in the morning, let them labor at whatever is necessary until about the 4th hour. And from the 4th hour until about the 6th, let them apply themselves to reading. After the 6th hour, having left the table, let them rest on their beds in perfect silence, or if anyone may perhaps want to read, let him read himself.
Praise be to our Lord Jesus.
Servus.
Salve. Be well.
What do we have here? A nice sharp dagger. Now what would a monk need that for?
Peace be with you, brother.
Talk to me, brother.
Here I am.
Just in time to manage it all. Once we're outside, we'll need to be careful, and we'll need to be quick. If we're not back before sunrise, someone will realise we've gone, and there'll be hell to pay.
Where exactly are we going for the wine?
Next to the monastery is the house of the custodian, a baron who provides military protection to the monastery. We'll take the wine from him.
Why go to all that trouble? Aren't the monastery wine cellars full?
They are, but Brother Celerius keeps records of all the casks, and the prior checks them. They'd investigate if any went missing. Whereas, if someone outside loses the odd cask, they're not going to suspect us monks.
That does sound reasonable. How do we do that once we're there? Will we need to break into the custodian's cellar?
We needn't break in anywhere. It's on the ground floor and usually unlocked. It holds supplies for the whole craftsman's yard, and every now and again someone comes in to fetch something. The only thing we have to make sure is that nobody sees us.
What particular wine are the cicadas after?
They want some Znaimo wine. But there's no way we'll be able to tell what's what. We'll just grab a cask and head off. I doubt the custodian would have anything of poor quality in his cellar.
The brothers will complain.
They'll complain even more if they've nothing to drink at all.
I'm ready. We can head off.
All right. You have the outside keys, so get unlocking.
A monk.
Things will get worse. I can feel it in my joints.
The things you say.
My joints started aching just before they raised Skalitz, and now they hurt again.
A toast to our future abbot.
I'll drink to that. What do you desire, Brother Gregor?
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery.
I'll say one thing, brother. This wine would grace the Pope's table.
I'm not so sure. It's a bit sour. God knows what's in it.
Don't be absurd. It's a first-class cask, direct from Znaimo.
No, I know the taste of a good vintage, and this isn't it. I bet you that wretch Yoro got the casks mixed up.
None.
Praise be to Christ, brother.
What is it, brother?
What are you doing outside at night? You should be sleeping, not scaring people.
God be with you.
Oh, leave me be. I want to sleep.
What have we here? It looks like a book with the names of all the novices. Interesting. But I still don't know which one of them is pious.
You're interested in what's inside? Forbidden books, written by the devil himself. Forget about them.
What do you desire, Brother Gregor?
Is there any way I could help you get elected? Somehow tip the scales in your favour?
What would you like to do? Climb up the tower and shout, "Vote for Nevlis, vote for Nevlis"?
Not exactly. You do have an opponent, John.
John isn't my opponent, he's my brother. Just like you and everyone else here. We're all brothers in Christ. But there is something you could help me with. You must know there's a great deal of iniquity here in the monastery. I'd be interested to hear of anything I don't know about.
That doesn't sound like something I can do.
Pity. And I thought you wanted to help.
Here's the book you wanted.
Amazing. This really is it. Now I can use it to prepare a cure for our suffering abbot. Then I'll leave it in the library to make it seem as if Brother Librarian left it lying about. There'll be no investigation. It would be against his best interests, as he'll look like the one who wasn't taking proper care of the books. It will drive him mad. I didn't leave that book out, or did I? Is there anything I can do for you in return?
I'd be interested in finding out the background of the other novices.
That's a strange wish you have. And the only ones who know everything about the novices are the abbot and the prior. They keep a record of every monk in the abbot's book, but you'll never get your hands on it. It's locked up in the prior's study.
Thanks. You've helped me immensely.
No, thank you. About that book, don't even think about breaking in to get it.
I've discovered something about the wrongs being committed here.
I see. Tell me more.
The older brothers are picking on novice Lucas, punishing him when he doesn't deserve it and humiliating him.
It seems that now even brothers can't avoid worldly evil. Thank you for the information, and if you can, stand up for him. The older brothers are also out to get me. Any action I take, they'll try to use against me.
The Circators go into the cellar at night to drink wine.
I thought so. John always reeks of it. And he wants to be abbot. Hypocrite. Perhaps if you told the prior, that would clip John's wings.
Brother Yodok has been stealing wine for the Circators so they can drink.
Yodok? Well, that little rat's shown his true colours. Do you know where he's stealing it from?
From the cellar of a low-ranking vassal outside the monastery walls.
Clever. The custodian would never suspect anyone in the monastery, and no one here would suspect monks were drinking secretly when no wine's missing. Thank you, brother. Could you please inform the prior? If I were to do it, they'd cry false accusations.
That's all I know.
If you find out anything else, come to me. I'd be interested to hear it.
I'm a new brother, a novice, Gregor. I don't know my way around here yet. You're in charge of the whole monastery, aren't you?
Welcome amongst us. Yes, yes. The Lord wanted me to take over the abbot's duties in his absence, but mainly I'm a servant of God, just like you and all the other brethren. Before God, there's no difference between us. How do you like it here?
It's wonderful here.
I'm glad to hear it. May your enthusiasm last.
Will you tell me something about how the abbot is elected?
Of course. Abbot Peter is old, and we're afraid he'll soon be with our Heavenly Father. When he's gone, someone else will have to lead the monastery. All the elder brothers will assemble to choose who that is.
Anyone can become the abbot?
Precisely. We have two candidates, Nevlas and John. As the spiritual shepherd of all of the brothers here, I'm not allowed to publicly express a preference for either. And as a novice, you shouldn't be involved in the election. I know that some brothers have already begun scheming, but don't even think about getting mixed up in it. With the blessing of the Holy Spirit, all will end up as it should be.
Therefore, the brethren should be occupied at certain times in manual labor, and again at fixed hours in sacred reading. To that end, we think that the...
What troubles you?
I have all the pages of the torn-up book. The Art of Love can go back to the library.
Oh, brother, you can't even imagine how happy you've made me. Since you're clearly a true lover of books, I'll give you a reward I've never given another novice. I'll lend you the key to the cabinet containing forbidden books, and you can look at the peculiar things we've accumulated there. That cabinet's strictly off limits to novices, but you've earned my trust. I'm sure you'll recognize that those books contain nothing but dangerous gibberish, and there's a valuable lesson to be learned there.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your trust.
The Rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on daily manual labor. Idleness is the enemy.
Brother, you were somewhere you shouldn't have been. Don't you know your place? Don't you know where you're permitted to enter and where your presence is forbidden?
Very well, brother. I accept my punishment.
Now, show me what you have on you. I must confiscate anything that's not allowed in the monastery.
Saint Benedict. Greetings on humility. The first degree of humility is obedience without delay. This is the virtue of those who hold nothing dearer to them. But this very obedience will be acceptable to God and pleasing to men.
Talk to me, brother.
What is commanded is done without hesitation. Delay, lukewarm.
Nevlis wanted me to steal a forbidden book from the library.
Really? Oh, this must be a dream. Actually, this would never have occurred to me, even in my wildest dreams. Which book? What did he want it for?
What was that writer called? Avicenna. A pagan and a Mohammedan. He wanted to use it to help heal Abbot Peter.
What? That dirty louse thinks he can steal magic books and use them to curse good Christians? Well, he shan't, as long as my name's John.
I don't think it's really like that. It was a medicinal book, and Nevlis had good intentions.
Brother, if the book is forbidden, there is a good reason for it. Forbidden books are full of magic, blasphemy, and witchcraft. There's no excuse for reading them, let alone stealing them from where they've been safely hidden away. Nevlis has committed a grave offence, and he'll pay for it. But listen, brother, for the time being, keep it to yourself. Now, you've helped me greatly, but I'll save it for when Nevlis begins elbowing his way into the elections. The power of truth is greatest when its timing is right.
As you wish. I'm glad I could help.
I won't forget it.
For if the disciple obeys with an ill will and murmurs, not necessarily with his work will not be acceptable to God, who sees that his heart is murmuring, and far from gaining a reward for such work as this, he will incur the punishment due to murmurers. And even to perfect disciples, even though it be for good, holy, edifying, singing. For it is written, in much speaking you will not escape sin. And in another
Praise be to Christ, brother.
I've discovered something about the wrongs being committed here.
I see. Tell me more.
Brother Siskin is hiding treasure he owned before he became a monk.
It doesn't surprise me. It's not the first time that's happened, and it won't be the last. I wouldn't punish him, but you can talk to him about it. Perhaps God will guide him, and he'll gladly give up his mammon.
That's all I know.
If you find out anything else, come to me. I'd be interested to hear it.
I'm here to work.
Excellent. I've been waiting for you. There's the alchemist's laboratory. You'll find ingredients in the chests next to it. Today it's your task to concoct 2 potions to aid digestion. Once you finish them, you'll find me somewhere nearby. Don't forget to let me know when you're done so I can check them. What would you like?
I've finished my work.
Show me what you've made. Spectacular, Gregor. You've found your talent. Soon enough, you'll be teaching the other novices. Peace be with you.
Started aching just before now they hurt again.
Wrong. And besides, God will be our protector.
What would you like?
I'm here to work.
Excellent. I've been waiting for you. Good work. I can see you have talent. From Easter until the calends of October. When they come out from the prime in the morning, let them labor at whatever is necessary until about the 4th hour. And from the 4th hour until about the 6th, let them apply themselves to reading. After the 6th hour. of such a nature as to keep them from idleness and at the same time not to overburden them or drive them away with excessive toil. Their weakness must be taken into